Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video, we are going to talk about transport across cell membrane part 2. If you haven't seen the part 1 video, the link is in the description and you can also check out various subject playlists on my channel. So, coming on to our topic, that is transport across cell membrane is divided into two: passive transport and active transport. Passive transports do not need any type of energy, meaning no ATP, whereas in active transport we require energy in the form of ATP. Passive transport is subdivided into two parts. First is diffusion and second is osmosis. In active transport, it is subdivided into primary active transport and secondary active transport. In primary active transport, indirect use of energy takes place. That is pumps. So we are going to discuss three types of pumps here: sodium potassium pump, sodium hydrogen pump, and calcium pump. In secondary active, direct energy is used. So the subtypes are co-transport and counter-transport. We'll discuss this flowchart in brief in a while. So let's start with passive transport. Passive transport requires no energy, meaning no ATP is used in this process. Second, it is also called as downhill transport because the movement occur from higher concentration to lower concentration. The net movement always occur down the electrochemical gradient, concentration gradient, or electric gradient. First, we'll discuss diffusion here. So diffusion is the process of moving particles from region of high concentration to the region of low concentration until equilibrium is reached. Both molecules of solute and solvent can diffuse across membrane. Now discussing the factor determining the rate of diffusion. We'll discuss four different factors including cell membrane permeability and gradient, concentration gradient, electrical potential gradient and pressure gradient. So starting with cell membrane permeability. In this, first is thickness of cell membrane. So the rate of diffusion is inversely proportional to thickness of cell membrane. So more the thickness, it will be difficult to penetrate. Lesser thickness, then it can easily penetrate. So if the thickness of cell membrane is more, then the rate of diffusion will be less. Second is lipid solubility. So the rate of diffusion is directly proportional to lipid solubility of membrane. So the cell membrane is made up of lipid bilayer. So if a substance passing through is lipid, then it can easily pass. So the rate of diffusion is directly proportional to the lipid solubility of substance. Higher the lipid solubility, higher will be the diffusion rate. Talking about third point, that is size of molecule. So the rate of diffusion is inversely proportional to the size of molecule. Larger the molecule, it will be difficult for it to pass through the cell membrane. Fourth point is temperature. The rate of diffusion is directly proportional to temperature. Temperature increases, the rate of diffusion is going to be increased. To understand this, suppose you heat up some substances, then the molecule inside that substances will randomly move. So due to that movement, it will cause a higher rate of diffusion. The fifth point is area of membrane. So diffusion is directly proportional to area of membrane. Larger the area, then larger will be the rate of diffusion. The sixth point is distribution of protein channel in the cell membrane. So the rate of diffusion for lipid insoluble substances is directly proportional to the number of channel present in a cell membrane. As you know, lipid bilayer is there in the cell membrane. So for lipid insoluble substances to pass through that cell membrane, we require protein channels. So if the protein channel number get increased, then the rate of diffusion for the lipid insoluble substance can increase. Second factor affecting the rate of diffusion is concentration gradient. Simple diffusion is directly proportional to the concentration gradient. To explain this, we have Fick's law of diffusion that states net diffusion is directly proportional to the product of diffusion coefficient into concentration of substances outside the cell minus concentration of substance inside the cell. So this is the Fick's law where A is the surface area of membrane, T is the thickness of membrane, D is diffusion coefficient, CO is concentration of substance outside the cell, Ci is the concentration of substances inside the cell. Negative sign here indicates the direction of movement of particle is down the concentration gradient, meaning from high to low. Facilitated diffusion have some limitation beyond certain value of concentration gradient, so this is not applicable there. The third factor is electrical potential gradient. Electrical potential gradient exists across the cell membrane because of positive charge outside the cell and negative charge inside the cell. When the concentration of negative charge on the both side of cell membrane is same, the positive charge present outside the membrane attracts the negative ion. So the net diffusion occurs from outside to inside until the concentration gradient balances the electrical gradient. The fourth factor is pressure gradient. If higher pressure is created on one side of membrane, it causes a greater number of molecules to strike the membrane, resulting in increased rate of diffusion. Now let's discuss type of diffusion. There are three different types: simple diffusion, facilitated diffusion and non-ionic diffusion. Starting with the simple diffusion. In simple diffusion, no carrier molecule is involved. No TM, that is transport maximum, that I have discussed in part 1 video, check it out. That is non-concentrated. Follows Fick's law of diffusion. The movement is from higher concentration to lower concentration, so downhill movement. Example is oxygen, carbon dioxide, urea exchange. When concentration of both the side of membrane become equal, the net movement of molecules ceases and equilibrium is reached. So simple diffusion occurs by two methods: directly through the lipid membrane or through protein channel. So substances such as oxygen, carbon dioxide, alcohol, nitrogen gas dissolve directly in the lipid layer and diffuses through the cell membrane. The rate of diffusion of such substance is directly proportional to the lipid solubility. Diffusion through protein channel. Substances which are lipid insoluble usually take this path. So substances such as water can easily pass through this protein channel, and transport of other substances depend on the character of protein. I have discussed this in the part 1 video for the transport of cell membrane. So in which we have discussed selective permeability and second is gating. So you can check it out, link is in the description. The second type of diffusion is facilitated diffusion. So it is also known as carrier mediated diffusion. Water-soluble substances having larger molecules are transported through the cell membrane with the help of carrier protein. Like simple diffusion, facilitated diffusion is also a downhill transport, that is from high to low, and does not need energy. Example of facilitated diffusion: glucose and amino acid transport. Glucose and amino acids cannot diffuse through the channels because of diameter of these substances is larger than that of the channel diameter. So molecules of these substances bind with the carrier protein that brings conformational changes in the carrier protein and that causes the transport of these substances. Features of facilitated diffusion. The first is faster rate of transport. Facilitated diffusion allow transport of polar molecules at much faster rates. Second is saturation. In simple diffusion, rate of diffusion is directly proportional to the concentration of substances. That means no saturational point is reached. Whereas in facilitated diffusion, number of carrier protein determines the rate of diffusion. When all carrier protein are occupied, facilitated diffusion happens at max capacity. This is called saturational point. The third, carrier protein are specific for different molecules. Carrier protein of glucose will not transport fatty acids. However, specificity is not very rigid as more than one substances share same carrier protein. Example, sodium glucose cotransport. Fourth is competitive inhibition. When two different molecules with similar structure are present, they compete for same protein for their transport. So here is the graph that discuss the rate of diffusion versus concentration of substances. So you can see simple diffusion has no saturation, whereas in facilitated diffusion we have a saturational point where the concentration of substance keep on increasing but the rate of diffusion does not increase. Moving on, we have the third type of diffusion, that is non-ionic diffusion. In case of weak acids or bases, where acids or base can cross the cell membrane in non-ionized form but cannot cross the cell membrane in ionized form. Example, ammonia transport in GIT or kidneys. So the second type of passive transport is osmosis. It is the movement of water across a semi-permeable membrane from region of low solute concentration to region of high solute concentration, as you can see in the image. It is a special type of diffusion where solvent movement occur. We'll discuss some terms used in osmosis. The first is osmotic effectiveness. Some substances are osmotically effective while others are ineffective. So substances which do not freely diffuses through the cell membrane are called osmotically effective substances. Example, plasma protein and dextran. Substances that freely diffuses through cell membrane are called osmotically ineffective substances. Example, urea. Second is osmotic pressure. The pressure required to prevent osmosis is called osmotic pressure. The osmotic flow of water occurs until the hydrostatic pressure inside the cell prevents the flow. This hydrostatic pressure is necessary to prevent the osmotic flow of water and is called as osmotic pressure of the solution. Third, colloidal osmotic pressure. Osmotic pressure exerted by the colloidal substances dissolved in the fluid is called as colloidal osmotic pressure. Fourth, oncotic pressure. Osmotic pressure exerted by the plasma protein is called as oncotic pressure. The normal value of this is 25 mmHg. Moles. Molecular weight of substances in grams. Osmoles is 1 mole of substance that is fully dissociated in water, or you can say it is the osmosis caused by 1 mole of substances. How to calculate osmoles? Just multiply the number of particles you get on dissolving the substances into water solution by the molarity of the solution. For instance, 1 mole of magnesium chloride. So we have molarity 1 and magnesium chloride, is this substance get ionized? Yeah, it gets Mg and 2Cl minus ions. So we have 3 particles. So 1 into 3, you get 3 osmoles. Now what is osmolality? It is the number of osmoles dissolved in 1 kg of solvent. The next is osmolarity. Osmolarity is the number of osmoles in 1 liter of solvent. So how to remember this? So osmolarity meaning liter, R. So it is an auditory mnemonic. Next we discuss tonicity. Osmolality of solution related to plasma is of 3 different types: isotonic, hypotonic, hypertonic. Isotonic, solution having same osmolality that of plasma. Hypotonic, it is solution with lesser osmolality than plasma. And hypertonic meaning solution with greater osmolality than that of plasma. The last point of discussion for this video is special type of passive transport. The first is bulk flow. It is the diffusion of larger quantity of substance from region of high pressure to region of low pressure. It is due to the pressure gradient of substances across the cell membrane. The second type is filtration. So movement of water and solute from area of high hydrostatic pressure to area of low hydrostatic pressure is called as filtration. Hydrostatic pressure here is developed due to the weight of the fluid. So this was all about passive transport across the cell membrane. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for the next video on active transport. I'm also available on Instagram. Follow me at @medicalminion. If you like the video, hit the like button, considering subscribing my channel, and also press the notification bell icon so you get notified every time I post a video.